Hello everybody, I am Joey from the Chart Guys. I've been a trader and technical analyst for 7 years, learning under Dan for 6 of them. I'm here to talk about some crypto. As everybody knows, tuning in right now, we have got some ETH ETF hopes with the probabilities of a stock ETF being approved for ETH right now, or not right now, but potentially, today or tomorrow, that news could be coming out. And ETH, the chart, is certainly reflecting that at this point. So, this brings up a lot of questions. We just went through this with Bitcoin. How is it similar? How is it different? Is it going to be a sell the news? And all of that jazz. So let's get into the charts and start talking about what we've got going on here. So we know we were watching the same daily falling wedge as we were on Bitcoin. It had a very weak breakout. ETH BTC continued to be weak. And then we got the news, and obviously ETH USD playing massive catch up at this point. So before we go too far into the technicals, let's kind of talk about some of the differences between the Bitcoin ETF situation and this Ethereum ETF situation. And the biggest difference is that the carrot was being dangled in front of us for Bitcoin for weeks and weeks and weeks ahead of the ETF approval. That allowed it to get priced in, get priced in, get priced in, get priced in. And then as soon as the headline dropped, it was a sell the news event. We pulled back like 21% or something like that. The ETF started trading the very next day. So approval was January 10th. ETF started trading January 11th. And we pulled back. And then once we started getting the ETF inflows, that was ultimately what propelled Bitcoin to higher highs. So this ETH situation is a little bit different because this is very fast. When they're talking about today or tomorrow, we might get an answer in regards to approval. We're only looking back 4 days since we got the first word that, hey, this has pretty good odds of happening at this point. So is some of it priced in? Yes, absolutely. Is all of it priced in? I don't know. We don't know. Nobody knows. What we do know is that there's a lot shorter time period for this to potentially be priced in. And then that brings on the next question is, what do inflows look like? As soon as you have an ETF like that, everyone's talking about inflows, and ETH is going to get compared against Bitcoin, which has had massive historic inflows. Is ETH going to have as grandiose of inflows? Probably not. Is that going to kind of paint ETH in a negative light? I don't know. I kind of don't think so. I think any reasonable person would anticipate that ETH probably isn't going to have as big of inflows. But the real question is, what does that physical buying of ETH for the ETFs, how does that manifest itself in the charts? So we've got all these questions, and it's probably not going to surprise y'all, but the nice thing about it is we can just let the charts be the guide. If it's going to be a sell the news event, then we're going to pull back, obviously, super far, but confirm downtrends. We're going to fail backburners, and backburners have been hitting on ETH USD. We'll zoom in a little bit more and see what that's about. So we're going to be watching backburners. We're going to be watching retracement size. We're going to be watching volume. We know it won't be shocking to pull back next time we pull back from here, but if bulls hold the 12 EMA on the daily and keep the show on the road, then obviously it's not too much of a sell the news. If we give back more than half of this move up, then we're saying, okay, right now it is a bit more of a sell the news event. And then that brings in to question the next element is, for Bitcoin, the ETF started trading the next day. For ETH, is it going to be the next day that the ETFs start trading? We don't know. Could be the next day, could be a few weeks down the line. And of course, when you have that volume on the ETFs, that is going to yank around the spot prices themselves. So the other big thing that we have to watch and that will really tell us what's going on is ETH BTC. And y'all know that that's kind of been my guide here for ETH, which it's kind of funny. The last 2 streams, we were crap talking ETH, trying to motivate it to be less of a turd. And the market lords heard our cries. But ETH BTC, obviously massive move. Last time we were chatting was, what was it? It was Thursday. We were talking about, we'll probably get a daily bounce, but the big question will be, can we get the daily trend change? Obviously, this is best case scenario for a follow through on a daily trend change. Obviously, it has fundamental backing to that. But we've seen this before. We've seen this before. Let's go to the weekly. We saw massive move up. What happened, or failed to happen rather? Inability to get a weekly uptrend. Massive move up, inability to get a weekly uptrend. Decent bounce, inability to get a weekly uptrend. Now we have another massive move up. Can ETH BTC bulls confirm a weekly uptrend once this initial fervor wears off? That is the big question. And obviously, when you're talking the weekly time frame, you don't get that answer in 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, not even 2 weeks, 3 weeks. If you're talking what it takes to get a weekly trend change, multiple weeks of pullback, multiple weeks of bounce, you're probably talking minimum a month's time to see if that info plays out or if we bleed back the move. And same as ETH USD, we'll be watching retracement size. We'll be watching volume. We'll be watching our smaller nested time frame trends. But if we zoom out once more, y'all aren't going to like this. Well, it depends, I suppose, where your mind is at. But remember on this move, if you go back to the streams here, I was saying, hey, this is fantastic, but we're testing the monthly 12 EMA, which has been acting as resistance. And if we're to reject from that, then ETH is going to go back to being a turd. Well, here we are again. Bulls love to see the continued lack of follow through below this key support, but we're extended into something that's been acting as resistance. If we reject from there, this ETH move will be a bit of a flash in the pan. It doesn't mean we can't see some resistance and then actually get that weekly trend change, but we've just always got to take what the charts are giving us, not what we want from the markets. So the reason I said you could be optimistic or pessimistic about this current technical setup on ETH BTC is because if bulls do push through there and do get through the monthly 12 EMA, then that greatly increases the odds that we're getting a quick yearly higher low on ETH BTC, which would mean more sustained follow through coming into ETH USD. So gonna let the ratios be the guide because that really tells us what's going on under the hood with it. So we'll certainly obviously be watching the USD pairings and back burners and this and that, but the ratio chart will let you know how believable is this. So let's go back to ETH USD and break down our technicals, then we'll pop to Bitcoin, break down our technicals, and then we'll pop through some of these tightening ranges, then we'll see what y'all are looking at. So ETH USD, monthly higher low is set from the falling wedge, but similar to Bitcoin, the question is, are we just going to V-shape to new highs like the broad market did? If we look at the broad market on the weekly, lower high was the most likely, V-shape to new highs. Bitcoin, question, are we just going to V-shape to new highs or pull back? Same deal for ETH USD. Right now, it's looking more likely to V-shape to new highs than Bitcoin after the way that Bitcoin is trading today, but we got to go one step at a time. And that first step is going to be, what does our daily consolidation look like next time it comes? We go into the 4 hour, we're riding the 4 hour 12 EMA, got bears trying to push below here now on ETH. If they take out 37.29, that would be us pushing below the 4 hour 12 EMA and create room for a 4 hour lower high, potential 4 hour downtrend to get that daily consolidation underway. And then we'll see, does hourly oversold conditions mark our daily higher low? If it does, that's the strongest look for bulls and will keep ETH positioned favorably for another leg up. Obviously, we've got the wild card of the headline. And we're talking about headline approval. I don't even think it really needs to be said of if the headline gets denied or the ETF gets denied, you can probably anticipate to give back the majority of this move, if not all of it. So that's, straightforward. But if the ETF gets approved, here's the thing. Bulls would love to see, here we go, we're actually losing that 4 hour 12 EMA here now. Bears now creating room for a 4 hour lower high. And bulls welcome this. You don't want to, if we just continue to run up straight into an approval, then that increases the odds that it's a sell the news event. If we can come down, see some healthy daily consolidation, bounce from hourly oversold conditions, and then the approval comes out, then you have better odds of seeing like a bull flag confirm versus if you're just going up into a full-blown kind of blow off top type dealio with it. So let's map out where hourly oversold would be at this point, and this will change as price moves around, but gives us a decent idea for now. So we're looking at 35.63. I don't know what the deal is. They added commas in the price here. It's throwing off my muscle memory for reading it. So that's hourly oversold. It is still 4% away from current prices, and if that holds, that is the strongest look for bulls. If we pull back down below that, then we'll probably be looking at 12-hour 12 EMA. No, 12-hour would be right with hourly oversold, so that's actually quite nice confluence. So if we do lose that, then we'd be looking down to daily 12 EMA. If we were to get right there from here, then that would be creating room for a daily lower high. So that's the scene. If we look through our back burners, we can see 5-minute back burner hit to new highs, 5-minute back burner hit, tightened up, 5-minute back burner went kind of deep down to 20, and then we went to new lows. So once you do that, then you go out to your next time frame, you look at your 15-minute, and this was our 15-minute back burner and went to new highs, and that's excellent. And now we're going to be looking at our hourly oversold back burner. This could still hit 15-minute oversold again and keep the show on the road, similar to the 5-minute. Where was that second 5-minute? Here, where we had already hit 5-minute, we went to new highs, and then we came back, we hit it again, didn't quite go to new highs. So we could see that on the 15-minute here. That would be, of course, the look that keeps bulls in control the most here. So we'll just see what we get. 15-minute oversold is not far away. We just dinged it. So if bulls show up here, that's a strong look. And if we look around at where Bitcoin's at, there's reason to believe that bulls could be showing up here. If we look at our daily time frame, daily 12 EMAs coming in, it's more pullback than bulls would have wanted to see already. And we'll just call it what it is. But if Bitcoin bulls are to defend daily 12 EMA, then ETH USD is unlikely to get to hourly oversold from here. So 4-hour 12 EMA, let's see where this candle closes. We still got an hour and 46 minutes. If it wicks back above, then that's bulls holding it, but that could be kind of a head and shoulders type setup. A little left shoulder, head, right shoulder. But again, bulls would like to see some healthy consolidation before an ETF approval to increase the odds that we can actually get another leg up on the approval. And again, is it sell the news? Is it not sell the news? I don't know. We don't know. All we know is that there's been less time for it to be priced in than we had with Bitcoin. If you remember back for the Bitcoin ETF approval, I was very firmly on the sell the news side because we had weeks and weeks and weeks of pricing it in. That's how the markets work. It's trickier when you've got a situation like this. But the biggest thing is that you don't try to feign understanding. And like, if I don't know really if it's going to be a sell the news event or not, I'm not like saying, all right, well, maybe it's 52-48 one way or the other. Let me push my full stack in on something with 52% odds. If we don't know what it is, then, we just take it as it comes. You just take it as it comes. So let's see, what do we got for short-term guide here? A little 15-minute equilibrium bear break. We'll be looking for a 15-minute lower high next bounce compared to 38.25 on ETH. Already a nice little move off that 15-minute oversold conditions. Let's see what we get. So let's take a step back now and look at Bitcoin because, as we talked about a little bit here, question is Bitcoin going to V-shape like the broad market, or is it going to continue to tighten up for potentially, another month or two? And the action here today is a point in favor towards the latter. We are still holding the daily 12 EMA, so it's not, there still is hope for bulls. If we were to see another leg down through daily 12 EMA, then odds would increase drastically that we're going to get some weekly consolidation before all-time highs. So I'll have to see where this bounce ends up. But the reason why the daily 12 EMA is not quite as safe of a guide as it typically is because of how large the move was on Monday. When you get really extended from the EMA and then come back down to it quickly, while you're still holding the EMA, you're still healthy, your retracement size is jacked up because you've pulled back so swift. So if we're looking at the retracement sizes from our last daily high or low, we've almost retraced the whole thing. That support is down here at 65,852. So that starts to create room for a daily lower high despite the fact that we're still holding it. But what ends up happening when you get that situation is even if a daily lower high becomes the most likely scenario, then you look at retracement size of that bounce and you say, okay, well, is it a weak daily bounce that doesn't get past the 50% retrace of the pullback and then bears can confirm that downtrend? Or do you bounce up strong right back to resistance and look for like an EQ that then can eventually break bullish? So my favorite example of this, what the heck is the ticker for coffee? I'm brain farting. I think it'll come up if I just type coffee, KC. There we go. So coffee was on this absolute tear back here. And we had this big pull up from the EMA. And we even held the EMA on the way back, but because of the retracement size, we knew a weekly lower high was the most likely scenario. And then bulls were able to form the higher low and keep the show on the road. So it's not doom and gloom. And just because you're getting a lower high doesn't mean the show's over, but we just got to respect the retracement sizes. So as far as Bitcoin, when we're testing this daily 12 EMA and evaluating what do bulls got to do to hold it from here, step one's going to be getting over 15-minute 12 EMA. So clear 12 EMA resistance, and bears are in full control until that's the case. Got to get up and over, get a 15-minute trend change. That would start the zoom out game. Then we'd zoom out, we'd look for an hourly lower high, tons of room to form one below 70.66. And then if bulls can do that with the hourly, then we'll be doing it with the 4 hour. And ultimately, you got to regain a 4 hour uptrend if we're talking about a daily higher low being set. So that's Bitcoin. There's more though for Bitcoin, because while we do have our daily 12 EMA as a guide here, the key thing that bulls want to hold over is this volume profile range from back here that we've been talking about for quite some time now. And that would be the type of scenario where, say, okay, we do get a weekly bout of consolidation. Bulls would love to hold that value area high. If we hold that value area high, bulls are Gucci, and there's very little overhead to challenge them from a supply and demand perspective. If we fall back down into that, that's when, we could tighten up through the whole summer. Sideways, boring. We know Bitcoin can go sideways for months and do nothing. And the potential is there for that. If we lose this level of 64.6K, odds increase for that scenario. So that's what we got going on ETH and BTC. Let's talk about Bitcoin dominance, because we pretty much got the ideal situation that we were talking about last stream of it'd be nice for Bitcoin to remain strong and have Bitcoin dominance come down and let some alts have some fun. So we got the first little bit of it, of a bunch of our 2-day EQs breaking to the upside, and then ETH really stole the show, and that was the main thing that propelled Bitcoin dominance down. So we are testing our weekly support at this point, but for me, it's going to be all about this 2-week 12 EMA. We've been riding for a while now, and the big question will be, if we get this ETH approval, does that spark alts for like an alt season? Do all ETH related alts get pumps up too? Is it only ETH related alts that get pumps? Is it only ETH that gets pumped? Does ETH sell the news? We've got all of these questions. We don't know answers, but what we do know is what would show up on the charts if we were going to get A, B, or C. So that's got to be the mindset always as a trader. You don't want to fool yourself into thinking you know what's going on ever. You can have high probability of something happening, like the sell the news on Bitcoin in January. We knew there was high probability, but we didn't 10x leverage short because we viewed it as a certainty. So what alt bulls want to see is Bitcoin dominance remain weak and have the space remain strong. Bitcoin can go sideways at the highs. Let's see some of that capital rotate into alts and see alts play catch up, because we know that alts pull back or some alts, we can't group everybody together. We had a lot of alts pull back on the monthly, 60% plus off of some of these names. And they're still struggling to get these monthly higher lows set. Alt bulls would love to see Bitcoin dominance stay weak and then get some rotation into alts. But right now, it's not exactly what we've got going on. We've got pretty red out there, and the alts are pulling back stronger than Bitcoin. And it truly is just the ETH show at this point. And we're even red there. We've got UNFI doing its own thing. And we've got ETC doing great here today. So ETC, we know obviously closely related to Ethereum, and it's got one of the greenest days out here right now, and saw a pretty nice move up. I guess if we're talking percentages, what do we get here? 25%? I actually thought it was a little bit bigger than that. ETH got 29%. So ETC definitely the strongest beneficiary in alt land, and everybody else, we do need to be a little bit cautious. So we're kind of talking through some more of the bull lens, but let's talk about the bear lens, because the hold on a second. I just had an order go through, and I didn't believe I had any orders in. Oh, I did. That was my GME stopping out. Dukes. That's okay. I had my heart for a second, thought I might have messed something up. Let me check on this GME. So we got the volatility that I was looking for this morning, but went the wrong direction. So I was in from the 19 flush, scaled out a bunch on the move up, so stopping out well in profit, but was hoping to swing the rest for like a 50% move, but that is what it is. Don't got to worry about it anymore. So what were we talking about? Our 2-day EQs, our EQ bull break. So we know Sol was kind of doing its own thing, one of the early breakers. RNDR was an early breaker. Link broke on news and is holding on decent. UNFI, who is not one of my favorite coins, is doing really well here today. But let's just flick through this, and basically a lot of these bull breaks are not seeing much follow through. So Ox, not much follow through on it. FTM is decent. DOT, almost no follow through on it, right back into the zone. AVAX, almost no follow through, right back into the zone. Same deal with AAVE, same deal with AGIX, same deal with CRV. ETC is getting its follow through on the Ethereum sympathy. Ocean, bull break, no follow through, right back on. ZEC, bull break, no follow through, right back in. So what that tells us is that there's potential that this is quick 2-week lower highs shaping up. And if Bitcoin starts weekly consolidation, then these will likely be 2-week lower highs here. Obviously got the ETH wildcard, and what does that news do? What does it ignite? What doesn't it ignite? Nobody knows on that. But just working with the charts that we've got right now, if we go to the 2-week time frame for all of these, could be quick 2-week lower highs shaping up on all of these names, which we know is the most likely scenario on this bounce. So got to keep our minds open to that. And our names that haven't broken, some of them broke the first level, rejected from the second. That's ADA, and now is working its way back to support. So doesn't mean you can't play off of support, but I was much more confident looking for support plays before we had some red flags on these alts. Theta broke one level, rejected from the second, now back into the middle of the range. Let's see, FIL still comfortably kind of in its range. It technically broke a first level, but like now all the way back. It's a huge red day. GMT broke, no follow through, right back in. Do we got to move GMT? Guess we'll move GMT up to the bull break crew. And then we'll redo the watch list later on. For next stream, we'll have it redone in terms of where we're at and what we've got going on. And hopefully there's some ETH resolution by then as well. Maddox still in it. AXS broke one level, didn't break the second. Same with Mana. XRP still nice and pretty. Ape technically broke the first level, didn't break the second, still kind of just tightening up. So not a great look. Just got to call it how it is. Not a great look. And then when we talk about the broad market, got a big red day in the broad market right now. Increasing the odds that weekly consolidation is shaping up here. We've lost our daily uptrend on the S&P 500 for the first time since the April low. Still holding the daily 12 EMA, so there's some hope for bulls, but you don't like to confirm a bull flag and then come back down. Very often when we see flags confirm on one time frame without follow through, it means watch out for consolidation or a pivot on the larger time frame. That could be what we have going on in the broad market here today. So NQ definitely holding on better, but S&P 500 not so much. And if we see weekly consolidation in the S&P 500, that will increase the odds that Bitcoin will see weekly consolidation as well. So that's the framework for the bear lens to all of this with these alts, breaking resistances without follow through, talking about the broad market, talking about Bitcoin's potential to tighten up. And we'll have to see what does the ETH wildcard do for the crypto space as a whole. If that gets approved, does it just ignite a bunch of euphoria and everything recovers and we're just, any caution that we're talking about now is out the window? Or is it get denied? Obviously, if it gets denied, then all of those alts are 2-week lower highs. Bitcoin enters weekly consolidation. ETH gives back all of this move, and ETH BTC rejects from monthly 12 EMA. That's an easy situation. But we can still have similar results to that with the positive fundamental news. We've always got to make sure we're separating the charts and the fundamentals. Like, it's fine to track the fundamentals and be all about this and that, but the charts are the one true truth in the markets. And if you're trying to navigate them actively, that needs to be a priority. So who's holding on decent still? I think Sol, because we're talking about, these alts that have the red flags of like the fresh ones to break, but Sol, there's no red flag here. This is healthy daily consolidation, holding the 12 EMA. And if you're looking to buy some alts, then you're looking for names that are holding on well right now. You're probably just looking at ETH, to be honest. You certainly want to have a stop, as always, but if it's going to be a sell the news or something, you don't want to get bogged. But, ETH very clearly relatively strong compared to everybody right now. But Sol is looking good. RNDR, this line in the sand is crazy. It's been defended so many times. Got to wonder how long it can hold. 976 is that level. Similar to the S&P 500, it's not great to break bull and then come back down. But also, what's your risk to reward if you bottom fish this? I thought that we were going to break it back here, so I was looking for some weekly consolidation. So I'm going to stick to that. I think RNDR will consolidate again on the weekly, but no doubt it's a bottom fish opportunity. And bottom fishes never feel good when you're going for them. They never feel good, but what makes them viable is the great risk to reward. So Link testing daily 12 EMA after the nice breakout on its news. Let's see if we're at our hourly oversold back burner. Hourly oversold back burner into daily 12 EMA on Link. We already got the bounce. So this is the type of situation where you look at Link, this relative strength over the last few hours. You compare that to Bitcoin, which has just been going lower. That's the type of relative strength that you want, where Link is a good hourly high or low play because of that. Doesn't mean that it's going to work, but your odds, you got the cards stacked in your favor on a situation like this, where Link independently, if we don't even know what's going on with Bitcoin, this is a good setup here. Hourly back burner after a strong move, testing daily 12 EMA. You get the strong bounce. If you weren't the aggressive bull who scaled into it, now you've got your second chance where you can be looking to bottom fish a low. So what else we got? Let's look at our blue sky bulls. So FET in the same category of the bull break without follow through, but back testing daily 12 EMA. Can bulls save it? What do they got to do? They got to get over 30-minute 12 EMA. It's been rejecting for a day here now. That would be step one, and then zoom out game from there. I think that's all I'm looking at. I guess we'll check in on our miners real quick, see what they're doing. So Mara rejecting from this POC, falling back down through the value area low, and now testing daily 12 EMA. We're talking about how this could be a weekly inverse head and shoulders. If we lose the daily uptrend, that's going to increase in favor. Riot remains weaker here. Testing daily support now. This is probably like a 3-day EQ. Let's see. Low, high, higher, low, lower, high, trying to shape up. So 3-day EQ for clarity there. CLSK. got the bull break out of its tightening range. And I was just talking with a member about this, of how bears want this daily EQ to break bull into a weekly EQ, and odds increasing for that big time here today. And that's a phenomenon that you will see often, where a name is in an EQ on one time frame, it breaks, and anytime you get any technical break, the first thing you do is zoom out and say, what are the implications on the next time frame? And very often you'll see one EQ break and then it just turns into an EQ on another time frame, because equilibriums are the most common pattern in the market. They're straightforward. It's like the first pattern that every trader should have in their tool belt. And let's look at coin. So coin was holding on well yesterday, but giving up the bag a bit here today. But I mean, everything is. When you got the S&P 500 looking like that, and like firm bear control, few can escape the grasp of that type of bear control. Even the king GME is falling. Even the king GME is falling. So we'll see what we get. ETH bulls trying to bounce from this 15-minute. I don't even know if it's technically a back burner, but we'll just call it 15-minute oversold. Bitcoin trying to do the same here from daily 12 EMA. We talked about what needs to be done. We'll see what they can do. Let's see what's going on in chat. Everyday Algo Nut. How big of an impact will the approval also have for alts like Allegrand, Near, or Cardano? We don't know, man. I pretty much laid out all of those situations of what we'll be looking for. Basically, if an ETH approval is going to be good for these other ones, whether it be forward-looking stuff of like, all right, what other coins are going to get approved now, or just, good stuff for the ecosystem, we'll see volume come into those names. We'll break resistances. We'll see healthy retracement. We'll see back burners hit. It's the same playbook for everything. Or not playbook. It's the same levels of evaluation. And then we just kind of extrapolate those out and apply it to whatever the narrative is at each time. Like, when we were talking Bitcoin ETF approval, it's the same evaluation stuff. I guess it's a little one-to-one-esque given that this is another ETF approval. But when we're talking about in the cannabis sector with all the stuff with DEA and rescheduling, that's the same evaluations that we're using over there. And that they'll, for now, always remain the same. If the game changes, we'll adapt with it. But for now, this is what the game is. Jahanzib, hello, sir. Talked about your question already. Karan, howdy. Ryan D. Anderson, hello, my friend. No problem. Happy to be here. Happy for y'all to tune in with me. It's, the crypto streams have been dying off in numbers and engagement as Bitcoin just kind of goes sideways and alts go down. It's nice to see. We got 171 people in here. It's been a while since we've had that many. So if you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. It helps out with our algos and helps info get to more people, but only, of course, if you like it. I don't want anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. And if you do like it, consider subscribing, because we got a ton of free awesome stuff from a bunch of chart nerds who do nothing else with their lives on our YouTube channel. Let's see. Aries Rock doesn't like ETH anymore. Can't mine and transaction fees are high. That's all above my head, my friend. I'm just a chart nerd. Let's see. Yeah, I think most of the stuff in here has been chatted about. Let's see. Here we got a question from RoboCop. Can we use backburners for, say, swing trades? I've been using backburner at first 5-minute oversold after the breakout successfully for a few days of swing trading. Is 1 hour backburner better for a swing? Yeah, the beautiful nature about the fractal nature of this game is that you can do the same thing that you do on the 5-minute and 15-minute. You can do that on the daily and the weekly. So how it goes, and write this down or rewind it and listen to it again. In the strongest bull environments, 5-minute oversolds marking your hourly high or low, 15-minute oversolds marking your 4-hour high or low, 4-hour oversolds marking your weekly high or low, and daily oversold is marking your monthly high or low. If we go back and look at the S&P 500, on this monthly bull flag that we just confirmed, which is not seeing follow through at this point. But where do we come from? It was daily oversold conditions. So that's the reason I've got an NVDA swing from this day. NVDA didn't get to daily oversold conditions, but the broad market got to oversold conditions. And that's the swing trade mindset. When you get daily oversold conditions, that's longer term swing trade. And it's all just relative to what you're looking for. If you're looking for, a weekly higher low, perhaps 4-hour oversold conditions, a good place to look for it. Let's get the chart back here on ETH. We'll kind of watch this tick around. We'll go to the 15-minute as we answer some questions here. We don't know, CryptoKitty, when the ETF decision comes out, but supposedly today or tomorrow, so potentially imminent. So got to be on your toes. And it's one of those times where, like, if you're all in on crypto right now, not like fiscally all in, but like if you are all in with your mental bandwidth and your time, like tonight's a night, or right now is a time where like you've got all of your alerts set, your overbought, your oversold alerts, your price action level alerts, and when the news drops, you're running to the computer, or maybe you're already waiting at the computer. So there's definitely a time and place for that. Everybody's going to be in a different time and place for that, and that's not me right now. I need more balance in my life, so I've been getting off the computer at 4 p.m., 5 p.m., and it's been really, really good for my mental health after just putting in 7 years of like 12-hour a day minimum, and usually more. So if it happens tonight, I'll probably tweet about it from some mountainside here in Appalachia. Let's see, EMA setting. I'm assuming that's a question. I used the 12 and 26 EMA. Turkilla says if an ETH ETF gets approved, it's an attack on BTC. Yeah, we'll see. There's potential for that narrative. Like, this was something Dan laid out where he said, okay, imagine you're just now getting into crypto because of these ETFs, and you said you got a bunch of money and you say, I want to put 2% of my capital into Bitcoin, and you bought some IBIT or something, and you've now got your Bitcoin exposure. Well, now that there's an ETF, or if there's an ETF for ETH, does that mean that people are then selling Bitcoin ETFs to buy some ETH ETFs to get some diversification? We'll see. We will see. As far as it being an attack on Bitcoin, that seems intense. That seems a little intense for the situation, because ultimately, a rising tide will raise all ships. I think they probably want to work together, and what's good for ETH ends up being good for Bitcoin. I know in the space, people like to do the whole "my coin's great, your coin sucks" thing, but I don't know. Also, I don't know jack about fundamentals. Almost everybody here probably knows more about fundamentals than me. So I'll take your word, Terp. Let's see, what do I think about Pepe? I'm impressed with Pepe because it lost the daily 12 EMA only marginally, and then it just V-shaped to new highs. So we've been talking about how Pepe is relatively strong for several months now. And I was thinking here that, maybe now we finally get some weekly consolidation, but we V-shaped to new highs. And what did we have when we V-shaped to new highs? Increasing bull volume. Anytime you're going to see the less likely scenario play out, it will very likely be accompanied by increasing volume. So that's what we saw on Pepe, and we're in blue skies. One of the strongest names in the market, and green on a day where many are red. So probably 4-hour 12 EMA rider. 4-hour 12 EMA rider could be setting up a little bit of a head and shoulders here for some daily consolidation if bears were to lose the 4-hour 12 EMA but hold support at 1250. We'll just trust the EMA rider while it's going. And, similar to looking at Link, where you had Bitcoin plowing down through these hourly candles, and Pepe now is trying to do the double bottom. Let's check on Link now that we've got the space bouncing a bit. I bet that hourly higher low play is gangbusters. Yeah, you can already be risk-free on this if you took that. Just a little bit of a bounce, you can already be risk-free. You don't need a lot. And I'm assuming this means Bitcoin's getting Yeah, it's not even that strong. It is bouncing from the daily 12 EMA, but a lot more work to be done. That's weak. That is weak. I don't have any expectations for what coins are going to pump after the decision. I would think that names on the Ethereum ecosystem would be at the front of the list to potentially benefit, but we don't know if Ethereum is going to pump after the decision. So we just got to go one step at a time. Yeah, Ryan's pointing out here that we had a bunch of 15-minute backburners that did go to lower lows yesterday and ended up being a bit of a red flag for the space in general. And this is one of the beautiful things about trading. Let me see if I can find it here quickly. We can get so much value from looking at what is happening elsewhere in a correlated space. So this is, get rid of that. So this is Wednesday, which is yesterday morning. With a good number of alts entering daily consolidation, odds increase that Bitcoin will follow. You know, it's not rocket science. It's just looking around for context clues. So Bitcoin did hold on longer than I thought it did, but now we've got that consolidation. If you were long, you could be hedged off, and we've gotten the one-to-one move from up here to down here. So, and we see it across all spaces, within sectors, between sectors. We just saw it in the commodity space. Platinum came off the top first, then gold the next day, copper the next day, and then silver the day after that. And you know, if you're talking about opportunity, like silver at this point from the daily consolidation, 3.2% in a day and a half, let alone if you took the top fish, because silver was still up here while the others were getting knocked off. You know, you're up 6.5%. So that clue of looking to peers for signs is very valuable. And we see it in the crypto space all the time with the alts leading the way, like whether that be, you know, Bitcoin still struggling at the lows, and then you start to see alts pop one by one and get their bounces underway. Then that's when you say, all right, well, Bitcoin's probably fixing to follow. Or you see alts starting to get knocked off the top while Bitcoin's still strong. You say, all right, well, Bitcoin's probably going to follow. So that is a nice clue all the time. Let's see. Got to wrap it up here. Let's see. Amo says, do I have news? I do not have news. Nobody has news as far as I know. We can probably look at the chart and see if anybody has news. Looks like the status quo remains. So today or tomorrow, supposedly, we're going to get the news. So we'll see. And that does bring up another thing. Say we don't get the news. That could be, you know, short-term bearish. That could just be like some daily consolidation, because once they put a target on it of like, okay, today or tomorrow, we should know whether the ETF's approved or not. You got people that are making their bets for that news headline. And if that doesn't come out, they might say, all right, I'm out of here. I don't got time for this. And I wouldn't expect that to be like a big sell-off. But that could be what leads to daily consolidation on ETH if we don't get anything today or tomorrow. Let's see. Crypto Storm thinks Loop Ring will do well. What's Loop Ring? Is that LRCX? Or not LRCX? What is it? Yeah, LRC. LRCX is a semiconductor. Yeah, so LRC was another one of our 2-day EQs that broke bull that isn't really seeing follow through. And it's given back a decent bit of it right now. But to say that it's not seeing follow through more confidently, we would really need to lose the daily EMAs. And this goes for all these coins, and then confirm daily downtrends. So obviously not an initial follow through magnitude that bulls would want to see. But is this healthy daily consolidation still at this point? Yeah. Have slightly increasing bear volume. That's not what you really want to see, but if we hold the daily EMAs, which have now crossed bullish after coming off from the highs, then everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Let's see, Lil Ricky. It is a crypto stream, but I am a commodities main, so we will look at gold a little bit, and that's not good, man. That is essentially a weekly bull flag confirmed without follow through, and what we were talking about with or earlier in the stream, that is typically the first sign of consolidation on a larger time frame. So just going to be about the 4-hour downtrend. Probably got hourly 12 EMA. Yeah, hourly 12 EMA, clear guide for gold, room for lower highs on hourly, 4-hour, daily timeframes. Tomato asking if I do the historical RSI on daily, weekly, or monthly time frame, or just a smaller time frame like daily, 4-hour and less. I do it on all time frames, and I'm stoked to hear that you bought the indicator, dude. It's been sweet. I actually just had one on mRNA from yesterday. Fortunately, I covered early this morning. Or not covered, I bought puts, so I sold them. But looking at the historical RSI indicator, we got up here. We had a decent pullback this morning, and I was looking to get to the 4-hour 12 EMA, but essentially we had the broad market dumping, and mRNA was doing this. And I said, okay, if the broad market gets any type of bounce, then mRNA is going to get a big move up. So I just took the puts for, I don't know, nothing big, 40% or something like that. And, I'm glad I did. But yeah, it's decently rare to see the weekly and monthly get up to the historical levels. It's rare to see the daily get to the historical levels. So when the weekly and monthly happen, I'm still certainly interested. But it's a little tougher because if you're talking monthly historical overbought, for that to shake out, that takes time. I can buy some puts on mRNA and know that, like, if this is going to work, it's going to be in the next few days. So if you're talking monthly, if this is going to work, it's going to be in the next 6 weeks. It's tougher to actually manage, but it can still help you know that you shouldn't be maniac. You shouldn't be a maniac like as a bull when you're up at those historical levels. So one thing we do have coming up here with the chart guys, Dan's doing a stream tonight at 5 p.m. kind of talking about the membership. I know I dragged over our Slack community a little bit here, but to give you a little preview, we've got all the different channels, Gen Chat, everything popping off in there. And I know everybody misses Dan from the regular content. He's still in the room every day. Obviously we've got our crypto channels. This is a crypto stream, Dan in the room. So the Slack community is pretty sweet, and Dan's going to talk about that tonight at 5. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. 215 people. It's been a while since we've had this many people, so hit the like button again if you haven't. That's much appreciated, and let's see what we end up getting here. So we'll do a little technical wrap up before we wrap up. And we do have ETH bouncing from those 15-minute oversold conditions. So if they're going to say 4-hour 12 EMA, next step, 15-minute uptrend from here. Bitcoin is still a very weak bounce. We're talking daily 12 EMA holding. Got to get over 15-minute 12 EMA and get a 15-minute uptrend. And keep in mind, this is just step 1 of it happening. Then you got to do it on the hourly, and then ultimately you got to do it on the 4-hour. So that's what we'll be looking at. Is ETH BTC going to reject from monthly 12 EMA yet again? And this is another flash in the pan. Or are we going to be able to get a weekly uptrend on ETH BTC for the first time since 2022? Got room for it, but we've had room for it before and bulls failed. So let's see what we get. Daily stair step is our guide. Back burners on ETH. How do they hit? Does hourly oversold get snapped up? If it does, that's a strong look. If we bog through hourly oversold, then, maybe we are going to get some weekly consolidation before, the highs of this monthly bull flag. Ultimately, 4,093 key resistance. Current top is 39.47. Backburners will tell the way. EMAs will tell the way. Volume will tell the way. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. Let's see what we get. Keep an eye on the broad market. Definitely a red day out there. Keep an eye on Bitcoin. Do bears confirm a daily downtrend? Keep us tightening on the weekly. Watch this value area high, 64.6. And of course, watch Twitter for the news. That'll be the first place that it's at. And on the note of Twitter, I've got a Twitter now. If you're not following me, you should consider it. Post technical stuff on there, post my mountain adventures, and got a bangers only policy. So that is junglefunk_. And thank you all for tuning in. I will see you next time. Adios.